All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 9:45 out on the West Coast, 12:45 out on the East Coast. We're going to get started in a little bit. Today, we're going to talk about how to terminate your fears of the phone. I'm putting my phone on vibrate for 1 second while we go live, and then we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. That's the fun part about going live is every time you go live, things happen. So anyway, I always start my presentation with the image, right? That's kind of what that's my little fun that I get to have. And so this image is generated by Google Labs by their image creator tool, their AI image creator tool. And so when I first started when I created the slide, I prompted it to give me a version of the 1980s Terminator with a headset on, wearing a navy blue T-shirt that said Dispo on it, in an office well lit, surrounded by 10-foot windows allowing sunlight in, making calls, surrounded by millennials who are working with him. And this was the image that we got. So this is how I have my fun as I'm preparing for the trainings that I do. So we've got the Terminator, we've got him wearing a Dispo T-shirt, and we've got him wearing a headset as he is making his calls, or her, however you see fit. The red headset was we had to go red because when I had it as black, for whatever reason, you couldn't see it. So anyway, just a little bit of fun that I have as I prepare for this. Today we're going to talk about how to terminate your fears of the phone, how to get over your fears of getting on the phone and talking to people. We all have this. We all have had to overcome it when we're working in this business, and we're going to talk about how to do that exactly. Be sure that you like and follow us, please. I've said it before, but we are now at above 50% of the people who are watching our trainings are not subscribers. They're not followers. So if you could be so kind as to make sure that you give me a thumbs up to let me know that the audio is coming through okay. If you could give me a heart emoji, a fire emoji, a 100 emoji. Just don't give me any eggplant emojis and no vomit emojis, please. That would be fantastic. And make sure that you subscribe. Right? Press on, if you're watching us on YouTube, press the bell icon so that way you can get alerted every time that we go live and anytime we upload new content that we are creating for you. We do this for free, and all we ask in return is that you give us a like, a follow, or an emoji. Okay. Now, one thing I want to talk about, we are raffling off a free 1-year subscription for Batch Dialer. Okay, so you're going to have access to Batch Dialer for 1 whole year. We're going to be raffling it off, and in order to be entered in the raffle, you have to visit free.dispodragons.com, free.dispodragons.com. Register for a virtual training that is going to happen on March 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. March 20th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be a 1-hour training conducted by the Batch Company. And if you don't know who the Batch Company is, they are the company behind Batch Leads, Batch Dialer, Batch Skip Tracing, and they are a very, very well-known company within our industry and our profession, not just by real estate investors and wholesalers, but also by real estate agents and real estate brokers as well. So they're going to be doing a training on March 20th. It'll be about a 45-minute to an hour training on how to use their Batch Dialer system. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Batch Dialer system is essentially an auto dialer. It will dial for you. All you have to do is put on a headset. It will connect you to the person on the other end of the line, and then all you got to do is talk. Now, in order to be entered in the raffle, you register, you participate in the training, and then we're going to be giving away 2 codes. Okay, there's a code in the middle, right at the 10:30 mark. We're going to give a code, maybe 10:40, maybe 10:20, who knows, but we're going to give away that code. And then at the end of the training, we're going to give away a code as well. You DM us both codes, right? Within 10 minutes of the conclusion of the training, you're entered into the raffle. We're going to select one lucky winner. One lucky winner is going to get 1 whole year of Batch Dialer, and it's the 5-line dialer system, okay? So what that means is that you're going to have 5 lines dialing for you at the same time, and then whoever picks up the phone first, the system will connect you to that person. You speak to that person. You obviously have a conversation with them, and then what happens is if somebody answers while you're speaking to that person, person, what it will do is it will just send them a quick message, hey, I'm on the other line, I'll call you right back, and then it'll reroute it and redial that person immediately after you hang up that call that you're speaking to, okay? So there's different ways of different names of that process, but some people call it phone cycling, data cycling, whatever you want to call it. It just reroutes those people back to you. So enter at free.dispodragons.com, participate in the training, send us those codes, and you could win 1 free year. All right, let's talk about how to get over the fears of getting on the phone. And before I dive right in, I'm just looking at the chat just to see what people, what some of the comments are and what people are asking. How do we get over the fear of being on the phone? Well, number one, here's the first thing that I'm going to recommend. I am going to recommend that you use a script. All right. Every time I am talking to people, I tell them the importance of using a script, because there are a lot of people that like to get on the phone, and what they want to do is they just want to wing it. They just want to wing it. They don't have any particular strategy. They don't really know what they're going to say. They're just hoping that they talk to somebody that's going to be interested enough in what their offer is going to be, and they're going to be able to find a lead. And that is not the correct strategy that you want to use. All professionals, they have some kind of a script, okay? I don't care what they are. Most 6-figure, 7-figure income earners have a script. Doctors, lawyers, CPAs, whatever it is, CEOs, they have a script for, different situations. When you are speaking to a lawyer and the lawyer is prepping you, or they are, offering you a consultation and they're trying to figure out how they can assist you, to represent you, they are asking you a series of questions, and 9 times out of 10, they're using a script or a series of questions that they are familiar with so that they can extract the right information from you. Doctors do the exact same thing. When they walk into the room and you are in the waiting room, or not in the waiting room, but you're in a room waiting for them to come in, what they start to do is they ask you questions to diagnose what's going on. Well, what are you experiencing? What is it that you're feeling? Is it a sharp pain? Is it a dull pain? On a scale of 1 to 10, would you say it's a 6? Would you say it's an 8? This isn't just, random questions. These are the same questions that they typically use over and over and over again. It's just you don't want to call it a script, but it really is a script. It really is a strategy. It really is the same. Their method of operation. They do the same thing every single time. And if these people who are earning 6 figures a year, 6 figures a month, 7 figures a year, if they have a specific method of operation, if they have a standard operating procedure, if they have a script, even though you may not want to call it a script, then why don't you? Why do you think that you can wing this thing and you can just, say whatever it is that you want to say off the top of your head every time that you talk to somebody? You can't, right? You can't. I remember I went to a concert, for any of you who are Michael Bublé fans. Me and my wife attended a Michael Bublé concert. And when we went, I remember thinking, my God, this guy is amazing. Not just his singing, but his onstage presence, his jokes, his timing, his wit. I was very, very impressed. So impressed that I decided, you know what, let's go see him a second time. And when my wife and I went to go see him a second time in concert, it was the exact same jokes. It was the exact same comments. It was the exact same, on stage presence. Everything was exactly the same that I saw from the very first show. And that's when it dawned on me that, all his jokes, all his comedic timing, all of his wit, it's all scripted. It's all part of his, concert. And I never dawned on me. I just thought they went out there and performed, and whatever happened. But no, it's an actual script. You need a script. Okay, if you're going to get on the phone and you're going to be talking to people, you need to use a script. And here's the thing. Before you start coming up with your own script, why don't you use a script that already works? Okay, there are plenty of scripts out there. If you need access to a script, you can get them in our community. You can visit school.dispodragons.com, school with a K, SKOOL.dispodragons.com. Register. Listen, it's $1 for lifetime membership, all right? I don't want to hear anybody complaining. Register, school.dispodragons.com, and pick up the script. The scripts are all there, okay? Use the script. Be a pro. Listen to your favorite script. So this is the thing. There's a lot of people on, social media who they record themselves. using a script, and they record themselves role playing, and they record themselves calling sellers, and they record themselves on podcasts, and you have access to all of this stuff. So why aren't you listening to these scripts in the car? Right? Why aren't you listening to them? I remember there was a time where I would drive around in the car and my kids would hear me listening to the people that I admired, listening to the people that I wanted to be like, listen to the people who were making the money that I wanted to make, and I would listen to them over and over and over again in the car, and it was boring and it was tedious, and my kids would get annoyed and they hated hearing their voices, and before long my kids started to learn the scripts. Listen, when you're in the car, use that as an opportunity to educate yourself, right? People call your car the university on wheels. So do the exact same thing. Listen to the scripts that you want to get better at while you are driving. If you really want to be a badass, record yourself reading the script and then play it to yourself while you're in the car, listening to your own voice, listening to your inflections, listening to how you could improve yourself while you're driving, okay? And that's tough because nobody wants to hear their voice. Nobody wants, it's like your nails on a chalkboard sometimes. I remember when I used to do that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I sound like that? I look like that? Ugh. And eventually at some point you just get over it. You get over it or you improve or you quit. Those are the only options, right? So listen to your favorite script. Either you record it or listen to somebody else who is using the script that you want to emulate, and become a slave to that script, okay? Now, that might come off weird, but here's the thing. Master that script before you start to modify it. I see a lot of people, they'll look at a script and they'll be like, that doesn't sound like me. That is just, I couldn't say that. That's not how I talk. I don't talk that way. Okay, no problem. You've got somebody that is making 6 figures a year. You've got someone that's making 6 figures a month. They're giving you the script. They're telling you what to say. They're laying it all out there for you. And you're not making that type of income. You're not building the real estate portfolio that they have. You don't have the real estate portfolio that they have. And you want to basically say, hey, I'm not going to say what they say. Come on, get over it. Right? Just say what they say the way that they say it until you've mastered it so much that now you can add your own personality. Now you can add your own flavor to the script. But before you can do that, you got to master the script yourself, right? So make sure that you subscribe to a specific script, use it, listen to it, master it, and become a slave to that script until you've mastered it so well that you can then add your own personality to it. Next thing that you want to do if you want to get over your fear or you want to terminate your fear of getting on the phones, role play. Okay, find a role-playing partner. This is another step that I see a lot of people, they try to bypass, they try to sidestep, right? Role play. When I am on the phone or on a Zoom call with someone and I am coaching them, right, I always ask them to role play with me because I want to hear what it is that they are saying so that I can either adjust what they're saying a little bit or just make it a little bit better. That's it. You're going to need to role play with someone. So find a role playing partner that you can speak with at least once or twice a week. And if it's somebody in the profession, great. If it's not somebody in the profession, not a big deal. You can use your spouse, you can use your fiance, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is that you want to use. You can role play with them, okay? But find a role playing partner that you can practice your scripts on. Just getting on the phone is great practice, trust me. But if you have someone that you can actually verbally spar with, you're going to be all the better. So make sure that you have a role-playing partner that you can work with, that you can practice the script on. This is going to help you. You'll thank me later. Get your family involved. This is important. All right, you want to get your family involved. Why do you want to get your family involved? Why do you want them to understand that you're going to be getting on the phones? Why do you want them to understand that you're going to be making these calls, right? The reason you want to get them involved and have them behind you and understand it is so that way when they see you working, okay? This was my home office for a long time. And if you can't really see the photo, I'm going to describe it to you. This is me working in my bedroom. And that's a view, first person view. The photo was taken by my wife. She's in the bed. She's pregnant with, at this point, it's our fifth child. And I'm in my home office, which is really just my bedroom, in the corner with a computer, making my calls, and she took this picture of me, okay? So why do you need to get your family involved? Because if you're going to be doing this from home, and you're going to be making calls that is going to require their not their participation. That's going to require their cooperation, which means that they're going to have to tone it down for an hour or two. They're going to have to be kind of quiet. The dog can't be running around the house, scratching, barking, begging. You're going to have to prepare everyone that, hey, listen, when I come home, why? Because most people are going to be starting this business on a part-time basis. That's just the way it is. Most people will start this business around their 9 to 5. So when you get home in the evening, or if you get home around 3 o'clock, or if you have your early mornings, you're going to have to prepare everyone that I am going to be on the phone for the next hour and a half. I am going to be on the phone for the next 2 hours. It's a Saturday morning. I am going to be on a training Zoom call for the next 35 to 45 minutes before I go coach 2 divisions at the local YMCA for their basketball teams. I'm going to be doing this. You need to prepare them so that they understand what is happening, so that there's no confusion, there's no shock. You don't get stressed out. They don't get stressed out. You don't get mad at them when you're talking to somebody on the phone and you're on the verge of getting a good lead, and then all of a sudden you hear the kids crying, laughing, crafting, squealing in the background, choking each other in the background, because you've prepared them for the next hour, hour and a half. I'm going to be doing this. I need you to be focused on something else. I need you to either go pick up a book. I need you to go outside. I need you to go walk the dog. I need you to do something else while I have some silence so that I could work. Now, look, there's going to be some of you who are fortunate enough to where you have your own home office. You have your own room, your own designated room where you're going to be able to work. And you know what? God bless you. Congratulations. That's fantastic. But there's going to be many of us who don't have that luxury. Many of us who are going to be operating out of our bedroom, right? There's going to be many of us that are going to be operating off of the kitchen table. There are going to be many of us that are going to be operating in the dining room. There will be some of us that, to have pure silence, will be operating in the bathroom. Okay? Sounds crazy. These are the things that people have done in order to achieve success. Okay, so the best way to terminate your fear of getting on the phone, right, is to also get your family involved and make sure that they understand what it is that you're doing, so that when they see you've got that headset on, when they see you've got your laptop right there, when they see this, they know, hey, mom, dad, they're or brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, whatever. When they're doing that, they're in work mode. They are in work mode. For the next hour to hour and a half to 2 hours, I got to stay out of their way. I got to be quiet. I can't make any loud noises, right? No dishwashing, no clanging of the pots and pans while I'm trying to make my calls. I need you to tone it down. This is what I need. In order for us to get where I want us to get to, in order for us to get to those dreams, I need you to cooperate with me for the next hour, hour and a half. This is very, very important. Next slide. Create a pattern to hype yourself up. Okay, this is also very important. And what do I mean by create a pattern to hype yourself up? What I mean is that if you're about to get on the phones, you don't want to be tired, groggy, upset. You want to listen to something uplifting. You want to listen to some type of motivational video. If there's a particular song that hypes you up, that gets you in the right mood. This is just like going into the gym, right? When you walk into the gym, chances are you're not going to be listening to classical music, right? You don't want to be listening to classical music when you're walking into the gym. That's going to put you to sleep, okay? What you want is, you want to hear something that's going to give you energy. You want to hear something that's going to put you in the right zone, in the right mindset. So create a pattern that is going to hype you up. If you got to listen to a couple motivational speeches that last 2 or 3 minutes before you get on the phone, so be it. If you want to hear the theme song to Rocky, right, so be it. If you have to hear Eye of the Tiger, then that's what you got to do. Whatever it is that you got to do in order to hype yourself up, then you need to do it. Sometimes it's just you just sitting there visualizing for 2 or 3 minutes that you're going to have success, that people are going to pick up the phone. Whatever it is, you need to create your own pattern so that you can psych yourself up and put yourself in the right frame of mind before you get on the phone. Okay, before you do that, this is what I want you to do. Stand up when you make calls. I teach a lot of people this. All right? In fact, I'm standing up right now. All right, I prefer the desks that can elevate, right? So there's Veridesk, which was one of the original adjustable elevated desks, right? Those are a little expensive. I think they're between $200 to $300 depending on the model that you get. People buy them, and then if you go to OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, they're selling these desks all the time. Sometimes you can get them for free. I love these elevated desks. I love standing up when I work. And the reason that I prefer to stand up, number one, it's better for my posture, right? Totally. It's much, much better for your posture as opposed to you being hunched over and sitting there. I'm much more alive. I have much more energy when I am standing up doing this. So my suggestion is go see if you can find a used elevated desk or that you can, purchase and put on the kitchen table. I remember when I was working with one of our JV partners, she was doing this in the kitchen, and at the time, she's doing well right now, but at the time she just couldn't afford to go buy one of these desks. So what she did was she just got boxes, right? And she put a box on there. She had a laptop on there, and she was just working. She had it obviously, adjusted it to where she could work, but she was just putting it on boxes and on books. And that's the way it is, right? Who cares? You just do what you got to do. But I know that I operate much better when I'm standing up. I'm much more confident when I'm standing up. I sound more confident when I'm standing up. People can hear my body language through the phone when I'm standing up. You can tell. Right? So my recommendation is you stand up. It's better for your posture. It's better for your health. I have also seen people that that are using these small mobile treadmills, and they're walking as they're doing this. Right? Get creative. Again, you want to be in the right frame of mind. You want to be ready to go. And when you're slouched and you're sitting down doing this, it's hard. It's hard to sound motivated. It's hard to be ready. To do what it is that we do. So stand up when you make your calls. That's my recommendation. Get calling out of the way early. All right, so for those of you who have the luxury of being able to go to work a little bit later on, or you have your morning hours, my suggestion is anytime you are going to begin any type of prospecting, any type of calling, I'm going to suggest that you do it first thing in the morning. Now, you can either do it first thing in the morning, or you can do it after your gym time. For instance, I know that I wake up and the first thing I do is go to the gym. I want to get it out of the way, because once I get it out of the way, I feel much better. And I know that if I don't get it out of the way earlier in the day or first thing in the morning, it's going to be much harder for me to do it, later on in the day. I know that there's some people that like going to the gym in the evening, and they say they have better results that way. I'm going to tell you, man, I don't know how to do that, because by the end of the day, when I am exhausted mentally, physically, I don't have the energy that I had in the morning, because I've exhausted it and used it all and depleted it all during the day, doing everything that it is that I need to do and all the goals that I want to accomplish during that day. By the time I need to go to the gym in the evening, it's hard. It's hard, and sometimes it's difficult for me. So I make the preference of going to the gym first. I go to the gym first, knock it out of the way, and then I get to work. I'm going to suggest that when you do calling, you treat it the same way, okay? Because I've seen the difference in people. I've experienced a difference myself, that when I get calling out of the way in the morning, right, before I do anything else, even if it's for an hour or 2 hours, at least I get it done. It's done. I found my prospects, I found my leads, and I can move on now to all the other stuff that I have to do, including lead follow-up, including marketing, including, all the messaging and all the other outbound marketing efforts that I'm going to use. But if you get cold calling out of the way early, you have the rest of the day. You've used your best energy to complete this task early in the morning and get it done. Now, if you can't, right, let's talk about that. If you can't, because there are some people that are saying, well, Paul, I can't do it in the morning. I try to go to the gym, then I got to get the kids to school, and then I got to be at work by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So there's absolutely no way I could possibly do that. I can't do that. Well, you can, right? There's a few things that you can do to adjust this business or adjust your schedule so that you can still make it work. If you are out on the West Coast or the Midwest, you could wake up a little bit earlier. Say, for instance, I'll just use California. If you're in California, the East Coast is 3 hours ahead of us, which means that we could wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, get on the phones and start making our calls till about 6:37, 7 o'clock, and before you know it, they're 3 hours ahead. We're working the East Coast markets. So really, they're at 5 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock over there. Right? So you can use this to your advantage if you adjust your schedule and you pick markets that are in a different coast, doing this virtually. For the people on the West Coast, you can wake up earlier and be calling the East Coast. Now, for East Coast people, obviously it's going to be a little bit more challenging for you to wake up earlier and call. You can't, right? So for East Coast people, the advantage that you have is that you can actually make calls a little bit later on, especially if you're working other markets. So if you're working other markets, when you get home, you can call the Midwest, you can call Central Time, Mountain Time, and then you can call Pacific Standard Time. I mean, if you're making calls at like 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast, really that's only 7 p.m. out on the West Coast. So if you play this right, you can still make your calls and adjust them according to the time zone that you're in. My recommendation, though, is that you try to get it out of the way early. So, again, for the people on the East Coast, I know it's challenging if you have another job to do this in the mornings because you really only have your time zone that you can take advantage of in the mornings. But in the evenings, you can take advantage of the Midwestern markets and the West Coast markets because they are 3 hours behind. Right? So just food for thought. Do not let yesterday's results affect today's performance. So yesterday, you may have gotten on the phone, you may have did some prospecting, you may have called some people, you may have made 100 calls and you didn't talk to anybody and nobody responded, and the next day you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to do this again. I called 100 people yesterday, I didn't get a hold of anybody, and I'm just not in the mood. All right. So let's analyze that. If you go to the gym today, if you haven't been to the gym in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, and you go to the gym today and you work out for 45 minutes and you do arm curls, right? For 45 minutes straight. Not that anybody would ever do that for 45 minutes straight, but you do it for 45 minutes straight and then you go home and then you wake up the next morning. You're not going to all of a sudden have, Arnold Schwarzenegger's biceps. You're not going to have that. It's just not going to happen, right? You know that. So if you know that, then why would you think that just because you did 100 calls on one day, the next day that you should have a 6-figure income business? It's not going to happen. It will not happen. If you go to the gym and you work your bicep for 40 minutes every day for the next 90 days, are you going to see some type of a result? Absolutely you will. If you make 100 calls every single day for the next 90 days, is there a very good chance that you're going to see some type of result? Absolutely you will. So don't let yesterday's performance dictate how you're going to operate today, right? Yesterday was yesterday. Whatever results we got yesterday were great. Good or bad, whatever they are, that's fine. At least I went to work and I did what I had the discipline to do what I said I was going to do yesterday. Now I got to go back and I got to do it today. Don't let yesterday's results affect today's performance, ever, okay? I know that's easier said than done, but I just want you to know that we all experience that. We all experience days where we're like, man, I worked and I did all of this stuff today and I really feel like I got nothing done. You're not the only one that experiences that. We all experience that. There are some days where we're working and we're like, man, nothing happened today. I put all this effort in and I saw zero return on everything I did today. And that's a tough feeling, but we go through it too. You're not the only one. We experience that just like you. The difference is we don't let yesterday's performance affect what we're going to do today. All right? So, let's yesterday's results, sorry. All right, you got to get the right tools. You're going to need a headset. All right, you want a headset. Okay, it doesn't have to be a very, very expensive headset. It really doesn't. You don't need the Apple AirPods Max in order to make your calls. Come on, man. You don't need it. Like, give me a break. All right, you don't even need AirPods to make the calls. If you have them, great. Use them, all right? But you can go buy a USB headset at Office Max for like $19, $15 right now. But you're going to need a headset. You need some type of a headset so that way you have your hands free to do whatever it is that you want to do, so that you could take notes, so that you could type things in. You need a headset. Go out and get some type of a headset. Yeah, Bluetooth headsets are great too, but you don't need anything expensive, okay? Just a simple USB headset, for $19, $20, and you'll be fine. You connect it to your laptop, you connect it to your desktop, you can make calls. CRM, you're going to need some type of a CRM. What is a CRM? A CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. You need to have some type of a CRM. I tell people all the time, I recommend using HubSpot, HUBSPOT, HubSpot. It is free for up to 1,000 contacts. If you exceed 1,000 contacts, then they start to want to bill you. Now, 1,000 contacts that you're putting in your CRM is not a list that you download of 1,000 people from batch leads and then import them into your CRM. That is not what I am suggesting that you do. I am suggesting that you reserve that CRM for your actual leads, not just general lists. For your leads, you put the leads in there. And so, by the time you get to 1,000 actual leads that you've entered into your CRM, I'm telling you right now, you've probably closed, several deals, many deals. Okay, so really, to fill your CRM with 1,000 leads is going to take you some time. It's going to take you some effort, and you'll enjoy the journey, okay? Trust me. We did a call or a training yesterday where I explained to people that in order to get a contract, you can go to YouTube and you can see that video on there. And that training was on how many conversations do I have to have in order to earn $100,000 this year. And we break the numbers down, okay? So you'll be able to see exactly how many people you have to talk to, how many calls you have to make. And when I say calls, that's a little misleading because I'm not talking. Really, a call to me is an outbound attempt. Okay, an outbound attempt. Now, right today we're just talking about making phone calls, but go watch the video. It's on there. It's on our YouTube channel. So you need a CRM, and you're going to need a dialer. You're going to want to get a dialer. I know that everybody wants to try to do this on the free. I get it. I understand. Trust me, I've been in that position more times than I care to admit when you don't have the money to go invest in these tools. I understand, but you're going to need a dialer. I used to do it by hand, manually. But that was back when we had at least phones with actual landlines where we could dial. These days, most people don't have landlines. Most people don't have phones, so you don't even have an actual box where you could dial with your fingers, right? I just dropped my phone, but dialing with your cell phone every single time doing this and then picking it up, it's tedious, it's cumbersome. And yeah, maybe it takes you 5 to 10 seconds to do this every single time, but when you're multiplying that times 50 to 100 calls, that's 5 to 10 minutes a day that you might be wasting, maybe more, maybe 15 minutes just trying to punch things in. And then when you multiply that times 5 days a week, that's what's 15 times 5. That's about 75 minutes of wasted time during that week where you just were dialing, right? Now multiply that times 4 weeks, and all of a sudden you start to see how inefficient that is and how it's eating your time. You can always make more money. You can't make more time. And so if you're trying to do this the free way by, dialing by hand manually with your cell phone, or by typing in the telephone number using Google Voice every single time. Again, I get it. Maybe you don't have the money to invest in the dialer right now. Fine. But the thing is, doing that is still tedious and it eats into your time. And so for those of you who are building your dream real estate business around your current, occupation, around your current job, and you're doing all that, every 15 to 20 seconds that you are having to do that to dial is eating into your ability to talk to one more person that could potentially be the life-changing, the deal that is going to change the course of your family's history. All right, and I know that sounds crazy, and I know that may sound like, oh my God, he just said it's going to change my family history, but it is true. You are one deal away from potentially changing, the course of your family's history. One deal away. Why? Because that one deal could potentially change, number one, your mindset. It could make you a believer, 10 times the believer that you are right now. And, a check for some people who are used to making $40,000 or $50,000 a year. If they get that one check that's an assignment fee of $40,000 or $50,000 in one assignment fee for what they made for that whole year, did that just affect their family's history? Absolutely it did. Okay, so look, use a dialer. It'll save you some time. We talk about... Again, registering for this training, right? If you go to free.dispodragons.com, you could be entered into a raffle to win 1 free year of Batch Dialer, 1 free year of the 5-line advanced system. All right, doesn't cost you anything. Register for the training. Be there on March 20th at 10 a.m. Sit through the training. Get the codes that you need because I need you to DM us those codes on Instagram within 10 minutes of the training concluding so that you could be entered into the raffle. We'll pick one lucky winner. One lucky winner is going to get Batch Dialer for free for 1 whole year, a 5-line dialer. All you need to do is supply the data. All right. Now, talking about a CRM, the best, I saw this post. Somebody posted, what is the best CRM that is out there? And all of a sudden you saw all these people chiming in. Use Podio, use Monday. I saw all these different, go high level, white level, X leads, Y leads, P leads, this leads, that leads, all these different CRMs. Everybody's pitching all these CRMs. Okay. The best CRM is the one that you're going to use every day. That's the best CRM. I don't care which one it is. Okay, everybody pitches all these CRMs and all these bells and whistles and all the amazing things that they do for you. But if you're not using it, who cares? Who cares? You have to use the CRM every single day. Now, look, I know some people who live and die off of an Excel spreadsheet, off of a Google sheet, and they are successful. They don't have a CRM with all the bells and the whistles that sends them their AI text messages or AI generated emails or large language model systems. What they have is an Excel spreadsheet that they use every single day, that they log in every single day, that they read their notes, that they organize. Look, for me, I need a CRM, but I've seen people do it. There are plenty of people who are very, very successful just using a simple spreadsheet. Why? Because they use it every day. They go in there and they monitor it every day. They add notes to it every single day. So you don't necessarily need the best CRM out there. You just need a CRM, and you need to commit to using it every single day so that it can keep you organized. You need to commit to adding your leads to it every single day so that you can remind yourself to follow up with this person, to follow up with that person, to call this person, to text that person. That's what you need. You just need a system that is going to remind you of what to do. Now, as you get better at this, you're going to want to graduate to a CRM that has automation, that has the automated email campaigns for you, that has the automated text message campaigns for you, that has the automated chat bots for you. Sure, all of those things are great. But again, if you don't use it, who cares? Right? The best CRM is the one that you're using every single day. Cold callers, yes. We're talking. Cold callers are very important, and for the brand new person, I saw most comment about outsourcing cold callers. Outsourcing cold callers is a very, very good way to build business. For the brand new person, though, it's going to be. Where do you recommend we store general lists when calling them? In Dialer. Okay, I'm going to answer two questions. So the first question that I got was, what about hiring people to do your calls for you? Okay, great. So if you're going to hire someone to do your calls for you, I am going to suggest that number one, you become proficient at calling first. If you aren't proficient at calling first and you just hire a company to do the calls for you, even if they bring you leads, you're not going to know how to follow up with those leads, and you're not going to know what to say to those leads so that you can close those leads. All right. The benefit of having virtual assistants to make the calls for you is that you have leverage. Okay, again, you can make more money, you can't make more time. And by using overseas cold callers, for instance, in Egypt, right, we've got a great overseas team that does our calls for us over in Egypt. By using them to make those calls for you, you can still keep your 9-to-5 job. You can still do whatever it is that you need to do during the day, and then the evening you come back and you follow up with the leads that are generated by those overseas cold callers. But they're still going to need a dialer. They're going to need a dialer to be able to make those calls for you. So that's one of the reasons that we recommend Batch Dialer. Okay, you can use Batch Dialer. If you want to get a free 7-day trial of Batch Dialer, go to Batch, BATCH, batch.dispodragons.com. Batch with an A, not an I. That's a completely different word. Batch.dispodragons.com. Anyway, so yeah, you can sign up for a free 7-day trial, and you'll get 50% off of your first month, if you use that link, just FYI, all right? So you're going to need a dialer. If you're going to use overseas callers, you're going to want to make sure that you have a dialer that you provide them. And then, again, you need to be proficient at calling, just a little bit, so that you know exactly what to say when they do provide the leads for you. And you're going to want to inspect what you expect, right? In other words, you're going to want to instruct them on what scripts you want them to use, which is another reason that I suggest that you pick a script, master the script, role play with people so that you can know what to say, and you could role play with the virtual cold callers that you hire to do the calls for you. So where do you recommend we store general lists when calling? All right, so general lists, I would suggest that you leave in your dialer. Yeah, if it's just a general list, I wouldn't necessarily import them into your CRM. You could, but again, if we're doing this on a shoestring budget, if we're doing this at the grassroots, if we're just getting started, then what you're going to want to do is you want to keep just your lead lists. You're going to want to keep the list that you download, the data that you're going to be attacking, keep that in the dialers. And then if you're going to be signing up for like HubSpot or Batch Dialer, by the way, has its own internal CRM. Just FYI, okay? And it's a very good CRM. I have been using HubSpot for years, so I tend to prefer it. But Batch Dialer does have its own CRM inside. When I was talking about HubSpot and I was saying that you could upload up to 1,000 contacts in there for free, what I was referring to was only uploading leads, just leads, uploading your real leads. And what is a lead? Let's clarify what a lead is. I feel like I have to do this often. A lead is someone that has identified at least 3 qualities, characteristics, and these qualities and characteristics are, and I'm not talking about pain points because there are plenty of other people that teach pain points. I'm not teaching that. They have to have 3 things in order for it to be considered a person to be considered a lead. Their price. Okay, it has to have a price. I need to know what their price is. So if somebody says to you, make me an offer, that's not a price. They don't have a price in mind. Well, I'm not really sure. Why don't you just make me an offer? Nope, that's not a lead. Okay, make me an offer is not a lead. Let's get that. Let's clear that up right now. That's not a lead. All right. I need to know their price. What's their asking price? The second thing I need to know is what their time frame is. So when do they want to move? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months? What makes it easier for you? And I want you to phrase it that way. Exactly like that, okay? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months? What's going to work for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Wait and see what they say. 30 to 60 days, that's a hot lead. 60 to 90 days, lukewarm. 6 months or more, put them in the back burner, okay? Price, time frame, and the last thing is where are they moving to next? Where are they relocating to next? Where are they going to next? Where are you moving to, Mr. or Mrs. Seller? And if they say, we're really not sure, lukewarm lead, right? Because they don't really know where they're going to next. They don't have this thing planned out yet. What I want to hear is, I just got a job transfer. I got to get out of Dodge. This property is just way too big for us now. It's not going to happen. Well, you know what? I inherited this property. We just want to get rid of it. Those are the things that I want to hear. I want to hear that. I want to hear where they're moving to next. Now, inherited is a little bit different, but you get the point, okay? So if they have those 3 qualities, or if I've identified those 3 things, now I've got a lead. That's the lead that I would put in the HubSpot. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. And yeah, anybody winning the dialer is going to be a game changer. So please make sure that you register and that you attend that training March 20th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, I'm going to recommend for everybody that's those are 2 different things. That's not the Dollar Club. If you are interested in mentorship and if you're looking for somebody to help you with this business, we have a profit sharing mentorship. You can learn more about it by going to start.dispodragons.com. Start.dispodragons.com. You will have access to a mentor, a bona fide closer, someone that is a closer on demand, and you'll be able to have access to them. They will help you close your leads. They will help you get on the phones with your leads. They will help you close the contracts. They will help you fill out the contracts. They will help you find the buyers, and everybody gets paid when the deal is sold. You get paid as the mentee. They get paid. It's a great combination of mentorship, and it incentivizes the mentor to help the mentee. And as the mentee, you don't ever have to feel like, hey, I keep asking this person for free help, right? And it's ridiculously affordable. So visit start.dispodragons.com. It's our profit sharing mentorship. You'll be assigned a mentor, and you'll have much faster success than you would if you were to try to figure this thing out on your own. Okay. Be sure you like and follow us, you guys. Make sure that you subscribe to our content. Hit the bell icon if you're watching us on YouTube so that way you can be alerted every time we go live. Okay, I appreciate everybody's participation. I'm thankful that you're here. I would love to hear about your success, so feel free to comment below. If you're already having success, maybe you're hitting some brick walls and you just need a little bit of help, comment below, send us a DM. We'd love to hear how we can help you build your business and eventually get your success story in front of everybody else. All right, have a great Saturday. I will talk to everybody. I will see everybody back here on Monday, and we'll have another topic. Talk to you guys soon.